George, record again. Sorry, our call got interrupted there. All right. So we were talking about hiring talented people, right? Please go ahead.
Okay. So, I do stay somewhat involved in my company, but like I mentioned earlier, I have had experience with two fairly upscale houses, one at Lake Norman in Cornelius, North Carolina, and one at a place called Pawley's Island, South Carolina. And this was a beach house on the ocean.
Yeah.
It was sort of, I knew from day one that I wanted my own house and I wanted it designed the way I wanted it. So in both cases, well, in one case with the lake house, I hired an engineer who was recommended by a home builder. Simonini Builders was the contractor.
Okay.
And
did you work with Alan Simonini?
He very good friend, and he stayed a friend during the construction and after the construction. But and the name of he suggested that we get an engineer to a architect to design the house for us because it was a fairly upscale house, about 8,000 square feet. And so we did hire an engineer, and I'm the architect. And I'm trying to think of his name. It'll come to me in a second.
Yeah, and we can certainly write when we do the write-up. We'll write about that. But yeah,
right.
Keep going.
But we met with this guy, the engineer, and he took about 2 hours to talk with my wife and I about our interests, our styles, and gave us had very good questions. And it was amazing. He came back with a preliminary design that was 98% of the way there. The house was focused in the right direction with the right views. It had the number of rooms. It had the kind of decor that we were looking for, the creature comforts that we were looking for in the design of the house. And so it was a very easy process of finalizing the design, turning it over with specifications to the builder. And then that's where the real tough part came. Amen. In deciding the kind of options we wanted. Did we want granite countertops? Did we want Formica countertops? Did we want wood floor? Did we want tile floor? And that was an extensive exercise to meet with the builder and to price all that out. And it became iterative. So when we saw what the number was and our pupils expanded, we said, okay, it's a little more than our budget. Where can we compromise and get 98% of what we're looking for? And once we went through that process, it was really easy. The home builder was so self-contained. He had a supervisor that worked with us directly. He was great. We periodically connected with that particular supervisor. And, there were a lot of milestones during the process where they discovered, for example, there was more rock here than they had anticipated. It might be a change order of so much. We said, well, we thought that was included in the original price. And one word of advice would be, before you sign a contract, is make sure you understand what the price constraints are and when you are open to having to have a change order on certain items.
That's such a important piece of advice. And George, everything that you've said, I'm not, I just shared that I wouldn't be talking too much about our company, but everything that you talked about and the advice that you're good at giving, this is what we're mapping into what we're building so that process is easier. Maybe you can figure out pricing and visualize what the finished product would look like early on and sort of be able to have all that figured out before you even go into conversation like
that.
Right.
And Fahad, there are sort of two phases of the pricing. The first phase would be the basic house. you know, what kind of roof do we want to have, what kind of floors, walls, et cetera, configuration. Then the next phase of pricing would be more the cabinetry, the fine details,
the finer customizations,
the fixtures we might want to use, the light fixtures, the toilet fixtures. And in both cases, it was eye-opening as to the broad range of prices. Right. But it was an exciting process because it bonded you with the house. You really felt like you were a part of this product that was ultimately going to become yours.
That's right. Yeah. And that's what we want to do, is we want to enable more people to feel assured to be able to experience what you said, right? Is that right. 2-layered of customization to make it your own. It becomes an intergenerational experience. Maybe, you know, you did it, so that inspires other people in your family to build custom homes, and your friends to feel inspired by that sort of level of craft and design and taste. So please keep going. So you did that was the home at the beach,
at the lake.
Build experience. Very nice.
The lake.
Yeah, and they come with challenges. Let me ask you just a really quick question on that topic. I know we're a little time constrained, and hopefully you'll come back. But if you could share a little bit about how you sourced that piece of land that you decided to build on.
Oh, great question.
Yeah,
great question. We had a house in Charlotte, and we had a second home at the lake on the other side of the lake where we ultimately built. And we split our time. And we got to the point where we hated to pack up at the lake on a Sunday evening or Monday morning and go back into Charlotte. And so we said, hey, let's sell both of these houses and buy one house that will be our permanent residence that would have all the attributes of a lake place. So we ended up going around the lake, and we checked out developments on our own. And we found this one place called the Peninsula, and we just rode around and we saw that there were properties that were posted for sale. And we found this excellent site that we loved. And we ended up investigating it, finding out what the cost was. And at the same time, we were researching contractors, and we married the two. We found a contractor that was building most of the houses in the Peninsula that got rave reviews. We met with him. That was Simonini, and got a comfort level with him. Saw the property. He saw the property, and that's how we ended up with that marriage. And he recommended the architect that we use, who worked closely with him.
But this is the house on Lake Norman, correct?
Correct.
Right. And then the house that you built in Pawley's Island, that land, was that something that you guys found yourself?
Actually, my family had property there. And my mother offered the 4 children who raised the child that raised his hand first had the first opportunity to build on on that property. There was already a house there, but there was enough room for a second house. And I raised my hand quickly and built basically a rental property.
Yeah.
And after we rented it for several years, we had such a great time on the beach, we decided to expand that house. And once we saw what it was going to cost to remodel it, we said, well, gosh, let's just move it or demolish it and build a new house, which we did. And we do rent that house a little bit, but it's
I'm so glad I asked that question, George. I am so glad this is the reason why. Because what you described is something that people are experiencing across the United States. They have family properties that like to build on, remodel on. They're sort of grappling with the question of whether they should build brand new, whether they should tear down the property, etc. I think these are incredible lessons, and I'd love to continue it, really. It's been so generous of you to share these.
Right.
And I really like the two-step process. I know that that'll get mapped into what we're building.
Right.
But and look, I know we have a hard stop at in 4 minutes, so I'll stop the recording here and we'll just speak briefly. Is that okay?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. Say bye to the audience, and you'll see them.
Bye, audience.
Alan Simonidi is going to see this, right, Alan?